RAGGED, and welcome back to Anfield Agenda. I hope you enjoyed Craig's watch along and his match reaction. Of course, the title today for this video is Rampant Reds Run Burnley Ragged, and that is exactly what we did today. A phenomenal performance that I'll get into in a moment. But before I do, our sponsors for today's video, as you can see up there, is One Football. And if you don't have One Football by now, you're a bit daft, because we pester you time and time again to download it, and it's brilliant, especially on Saturdays. You just download the app, you click on whatever. So for example, if you want to know about Manchester City's lineup before the game, if you want to put a bet on and you want to know what their lineup is, how they're going to line up in terms of their formation, it's a great app, and it also brings you the latest news and everything you need about each game every single weekend. You can even go to the latest Saudi Arabian game and find out the lineups for that. It's a magnificent app, and it helps me and my family out on so many occasions. But to get into the game, and I'll start at the very beginning, which is always a very good place to start. And we'll go with the lineup first. So some interesting things ahead of the game. Obviously, we knew Fabinho wouldn't be in the squad today after the passing of his father. But there was also no Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in the squad and no Divock Origi. But instead, there was Andy Robertson, who is an absolute warrior, isn't he? He's come into the squad after missing only one game, when it looked like he may have missed the entire season after that injury that he picked up in our final friendly. But he managed to make himself fit enough for the bench today, which shows what a warrior he is. There was no Milner. He was injured with a slight knock, apparently. That suggests he's not going to be out for too long. Oxlade-Chamberlain missed the game due to a personal issue. I personally think that'll probably be that Perry Edwards has gone into labour, but I'm sure we'll hear more about that over the next couple of days. Obviously, yeah, congratulations if that is the case, Ox. And the interesting absentee was Divock Origi. No sign of him today. Now, we spoke to James Pearce yesterday, both myself and Craig, who said that there's no sign of Divock Origi leaving this window. He doesn't seem to want to leave. But does this show that he doesn't really have a role to play in the squad this season? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the future of Divock Origi. Will he stick around? Is he injured? Is it a COVID issue? Who knows? But I think that's a sign of things to come to Origi. I don't think he's going to be a consistent player in our squad. I think there's going to be many times when we have everyone fully fit where he isn't near the squad this season. So yeah, I think that's a sign of things to come, and maybe that'll force him now in the closing stages of the window to force his way out. But we'll have to wait and see. Let me continue by saying Harvey Elliott. Wow. He got a start today, which I think was thoroughly deserved. His first Premier League start after the pre-season he had, it was deserved. And James Pearce told us yesterday that with Shaqiri likely to leave, it's likely that Harvey Elliott is going to get many more Premier League minutes this season, which I think is deserved, because this 18-year-old looked like he'd been playing in the Premier League for years today. It was a phenomenal performance. He looked at home in that midfield for Liverpool Football Club. I thought Burnley were targeting him. They were, first of all, Sean Dijk, I think, and all the Burnley teams. I hope you're happy with yourself. I hope you're proud of yourself. Targeting a child. Well done. Well done. I thought they were absolutely, disgraceful with their tough tackling on Harvey Elliott today. I thought some of the tackles on him were awful, and the fact he rode most of them, got up, shrugged them off, I thought was fantastic, and he will be an elite player in the future. He really, really will. He looks like a real star boy, a real talent, and the future of Liverpool Football Club. And I was really, really impressed with him today. Another sign of the team sheet was Virgil van Dijk and Matip, that centre-back pairing continuing. I wondered if Van Dijk would be rested for Chelsea today, but no, Klopp went with them both again. I thought they were both phenomenal. I'll go into Van Dijk a bit more in a moment. But yeah, I'm going to break down the game now. The first half, I thought Burnley started really, really well. They caused us a few problems. I thought in possession in the first half particularly, we were quite sloppy at times. And going into the second half, it was a worry for me that, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes were causing us a couple of issues, but nonetheless, at the same time, we had some very good passages of play in that first half. I thought the first goal came at a good time when we were under the cosh a bit. Burnley were causing us a couple of issues. But yeah, it came at a good time, and it was great to see Costa Simakas, who I thought was fantastic today, get his first assist for Liverpool. He's really good at them crosses, isn't he? And it worked. Jota getting in front of his man Ben Mee, who was caught napping. And once again, Diogo Jota, the slotter, getting on the score sheet. I thought it was a good time to score, and a nice little goal to get us off the mark at Anfield for the season as well. And then the second goal, which was ruled out, obviously, Mo Salah. I thought it was such a shame that this one was ruled out. There's no question of the offside, thicker lines this season. They've changed the rules, of course. The one question is obviously Bruno's was allowed last week, but for me, it's offside. I think rightly ruled out, but it doesn't stop me from being gutted that it was ruled out, because I thought the build-up was tremendous. I thought the assist from Harvey Elliott was sublime. The finish from Mo Salah was one where it's a tremendous finish, but we've come to expect it from Mo Salah because he produces them kind of finishes week in, week out, and it was such a shame to see that scrapped. But yeah, nonetheless, we ended up with a 2-0 victory, didn't we? And as I say, Burnley were good in the first half, but I thought the second half we were absolutely rampant and we could have scored many more goals. Burnley put their bodies on the line and got a lot of blocks in that second half. I thought once again the play for the second goal was tremendous. Virgil van Dijk, we missed him defensively last season, but we also missed what he did for the second goal, where you see what he can do with the ball at his feet, where he turns defence into attack, and that ball to Harvey Elliott, some good footwork from Elliott to find Trent, and then Trent to get the assist for the Mane goal, which was a lovely finish as well, and good to see Mane getting himself on the score sheet too. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed with several things today. As I say, Matip and Van Dijk, not just as defenders, but building attacks from the back. They're passing to find players in between the lines, I think is absolutely outstanding, and was again today. As I say, Van Dijk had a big impact on that second goal. I was really, really impressed with that. There's obviously Harvey Elliott to talk about, which I have then. He's arrived, didn't look out of place at all in the Premier League. Just 18 years old, targeted by Burnley all day, booed by Burnley fans as a former Blackburn player, but he was phenomenal. Really, really top class for Liverpool today. He doesn't look 18. His footballing mind, his footballing ability looks a player way, way, way above his age. And he will be elite. He will be a star. He will be a world-class player in the future. Mark my words. And yeah, I was so impressed by Harvey Elliott today. And he's a player that I have been impressed with for the last couple of years. And I have said he will be a star boy for years. But he continues to get better and better and better. Another player that I want to talk about and highlight is Costa Simakas. I thought he was fantastic yet again today. And he's one of those players that you just don't know what to expect from him, do you? I thought it was very telling of him and what he brings to this squad, and the Greek warrior that he is. That he got that shoulder injury, and then he battled, and there was that moment when he was brought down, but he kept the ball. He got up, he kept going, even though he was about to come off. And yeah, that's a sign of things to come, and he looks like a very suitable understudy to Robertson, and I think he's done well in these 2 games that he's had to fill in for Andy Robertson. He played very well. I thought Naby played well before he came off too. I thought Jordan Henderson was superb as well. Mohamed Salah with a customary Salah performance, isn't it? What you expect then from Mohamed Salah. I thought he was very good again. Trent Alexander-Arnold, wow. He is really, really outstanding. And I said on Twitter, this was one of those performances where we were outstanding, and it's hard to pick a man of the match. It went to Trent from BT Sport. it probably was Trent, but you could have given it to absolutely anyone in a Liverpool shirt today, and I wouldn't have argued, because I was really impressed with everyone today. An assist for both our fullbacks, a goal for both Mane and Jota. Salah could have got on the score sheet as well, but he strayed slightly offside. And yeah, I was really, really impressed with Liverpool today. And if we can perform like that all season, there is no doubt that we will be up there come the end of the season. There is another man that I have to mention though as well, and that is Alisson Becker. And there was a shaky moment at one point today at the end of the first half when, you know, he went to punch the ball and didn't see Tarkowski was there. Was it a foul? Potentially. I don't think it would have been given, but there definitely is a question on whether it could have been a foul. I'm sure there's a question mark over it. I think some referees would have given it. Some people would have said it's a foul. I think if it had been given, there would have been a lot of people, particularly Burnley fans, that thought it was slightly soft. But yeah, for me, everything else he did today, Alisson Becker was absolutely top drawer. He's a world-class goalkeeper, and he showed that today. So many moments Burnley got in behind, but he produced a world-class save. And once again, Alisson Becker protected that clean sheet magnificently with some top-quality saves. And he does it time and time again, doesn't it? So important. A 2-0 score is dangerous because if it's 2-0, teams can get into that, especially if you score with 10 minutes or so to go. But when it was 2-0, Alisson made some absolute world-class saves to prevent Burnley from getting into the game and to prevent Burnley from making it a nervy last 10 minutes. So yeah, really, really good takeaways from that. Hopefully no injuries from it. We saw Trent at the end. He picked up a bit of a knock, but fingers crossed he will be fine for the Chelsea game. I know Klopp was unhappy at the end with a couple of the Burnley challenges. I was too. I thought particularly on Harvey Elliott, they really, really targeted him today. And, you know, I'm just glad we've got Burnley out of the way early on in the season. And yes, revenge on Burnley, of course, after they ended our unbeaten run, that long unbeaten run at Anfield when it was behind closed doors last season. But yes, lots of fantastic takeaways from today's game. And now I'll go to you lot for all your questions and your comments and your thoughts on the game. 2-0. So not quite my prediction of 6-0, but a confident, a very good display nonetheless, which will raise our confidence ahead of that Chelsea game next weekend, which of course is again at Anfield. And that Anfield atmosphere will be very, very important for that Chelsea game. But as I say, let me get into your comments to see what you thought of the game. Kate 2.0 says, what happened to Burnley? They actually played football today. Yes, they did, didn't they? You know, I was kind of impressed with Burnley, particularly in the first half. They came to Anfield to play. And, you know, there was some gamesmanship at times. They were tough tackling. They wasted time, you know, before we went 1-0 up. But at times they played football too, and they looked good when doing it, and they caused us issues. And yeah, it was some stuff from Burnley today was quite pleasing on the eye, which you don't see from them much, and they caused us problems, as I say, in that first half. Let's have a look. Salman Khan says McNeil was really good for Burnley. Yeah, I think McNeil's a good player. I believe he came through the Manchester United Academy before being snapped up by Burnley. I believe he's wanted by teams like Everton, and you can see why, because he's a decent player. Steve Nichols says Salah wants this title badly. Yes, I think all the players do. You know, I saw before they came out for the first half, you know, at the end of the warm-up, everyone high-fiving each other. They're up for this. We spoke to James Pearce yesterday, as I keep mentioning, and he said these players, these coaching staff, everyone involved at Liverpool loves being the underdogs this season. We love that people are ruling us out. So bring it on. Bring this season on. And Salah has had a long break. He's had the summer off. And he is well up for this. He really is. And as Leo says, we're going to win the league. We really, really are. But I thought Naby was good today. I thought that midfield was very good. Elliott impressed me. Hendo impressed me in that role that Fabinho would usually play, of course. Let's have a look. Any more comments here? Andre Bonacci says, Jack, who would you start against Chelsea? I'll leave that for later in the week, mate. We'll talk about that more in the week. I'll be on late night agendas with Craig, I'm sure, at times this week. Then we'll have the Cop of the Week with me, Craig, and Steve. But yeah, I think it's a good question. Fabinho will come back, of course, after the passing of his father. Hendo, I'd want in that midfield. Thiago will be ready for a 90 minutes as well. I think that will probably be the midfield three. But then Keita has played really well in recent games, and you know, potentially it's a good time to rest him. He rarely plays three on the trot, does he? Harvey Elliott, he played really well today and would deserve a start. But yeah, I think it would probably be the midfield three of Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago. Defence, I think Robertson will probably come in. But yeah, I'll let you know more later in the week. Anything else here? Mick Wall says Solanke has scored. Good, because I've got him in my goal scorer bet for today. Malik says we're winning the treble. I can feel it. I certainly hope so, mate. And I'm really, really delighted to see this positivity going into the season. There was a lot of people saying that we wouldn't go far, obviously, with the lack of signings. But this squad and Jurgen Klopp prove you wrong time and time again, because they're just magnificent. We came third last season with half a bloody squad, half a squad. We've got everyone back now, and we are ready for the season ahead. And I cannot wait for it, because I absolutely think that we will have a magnificent season this year. We will challenge for the title. I am sure of it. And yes, it looks dodgy with the signings that United and Chelsea and City have made, but never doubt this squad, and never, ever doubt Jurgen Klopp. City are 1-0 up already, apparently. Brian Morrissey wants us to keep playing Naby now he's fit. I think it's an interesting thing to debate, because he was fantastic once again today. He brings us something different, doesn't he? He's so good, Naby Keita. There's no doubt in that. It's just keeping him fit. And I think the worry is, if you're playing week in, week out in these first few weeks of the season, him then getting injured and then losing that. I think if you give him a bit of a break against Chelsea, bring him on for the last half an hour or something, then, you know, maybe after that, after the international break, he can come back in again, and then you can give him his rhythm. But yeah, I think he does need rest at time, and maybe that's why Jurgen bought him off at the time he did today. Tobias says, do you have an FPL team? Yes, I do. I have both Simakas and Alexander-Arnold, so a clean sheet and and obviously an assist was good for me today. But I also had Salah as my captain, so maybe I wasted my captain today. But oh well. The main thing for me isn't my FPL; it's Liverpool getting the win and Liverpool getting the clean sheet. Anything else? Thimble says, reminiscing about that Thiago debut versus Chelsea last season. Yeah, it was phenomenal, wasn't it? At the end of the game, I had I went home and had to watch that game again with something in my hands, because, you know, it was a phenomenal performance from us then, wasn't it? It was a great win, a clean sheet, a phenomenal performance from Thiago Alcantara, and it looked like a sign of things to come. But then, of course, we were hit with loads and loads of injuries, and yeah, our season went a bit downhill. But yeah, Thiago was outstanding in that game. Let's have a look. Any more comments from you lot about this? Liz Golden saying, hit that like button. Yes, make sure you do, please. What do I think about Konate not starting? His time will come. Klopp often does this, doesn't he? Doesn't throw players into the Premier League from the get-go. His time will certainly come, and he'll be embedded into this side. I think at the minute, Van Dijk and Matip are giving Klopp no means to change it up a bit. Their performance was once again phenomenal today. The two of them have built quite the partnership at the back. Another clean sheet. They both are so good at building play from the back. And yeah, I think there's no reason to bring Konate in at the moment. Barry Benton saying, hi Jack, how good is it seeing Van Dijk back banging them long balls again? Yeah, he's just colossal, isn't he? It's so good to see him. not just defensively and the little battle he had with Wood today, but everything about him. You know, the threat he is in the opposition area from set pieces. You know, building play from the back, as I say, he was so instrumental in that second goal. Phenomenal from Virgil van Dijk, and he just brings us something so fantastic. And he's going to be, I don't want him to ever retire. I don't want him to ever get injured. I want him to be on that team sheet for Liverpool every single game for the rest of our history, because he is just absolutely top class, isn't he? And you'll struggle to find another defender like him ever, because he is one of a kind. He is one of the best defenders of the Premier League era. He is outstanding, isn't he? He really, really is. Mr. Goat telling you how he is. He says subscribe to Anfield Agenda. Is there anything else you lot want to talk about in regards to the game? I've mentioned obviously Harvey Elliott and just how top class he was. I've mentioned the impact of Van Dijk and having him back. I've mentioned the fact that we're probably going to go on and win the league. I've mentioned the fact that everyone in that team was absolutely outstanding today. And yeah, really, really impressed. There wasn't a single player on that pitch that I didn't think was excellent today. I thought it was a performance where we could do things better. Absolutely. As I say, Burnley started well. There were a few shaky moments in that first half in possession. We could have scored more. We could have scored 6. But, you know, I'll take a 2-0. And I think there was some very, very good positives to take away from that. For us to play with some of them brilliant passages of play in just our second game of the season, I think is outstanding. So I'm really, really, really impressed with so many things today. Brian Morrissey agrees with my comments about Naby Keita. I think you put it in a better way, mate, in regards to there being a fine line between, you know, I think it was said on by the BT Sport commentators today, where Steve McManaman said that he just needs the rhythm. I think that's important at times, but like you saying, like I've said, Brian, you know, there's a fine line between getting a player rhythm and finding him minutes, but also giving him a rest as well. And I think we've got Thiago, we've got Henderson back fit, we'll have Fabinho back fit too. We've got Naby playing well, we've got Harvey playing well. There's no need to give him 3 starts on the trot, and especially this early in the season, you know. It's important to give him a rest, maybe against Chelsea, bring in Thiago, bring in Fabinho, and then see what happens after the international break, and who's in the best form in training and who suits which games better. I think that's what Klopp has to do. Brian Morrissey says Jota taking a starting spot from Firmino. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I know McManaman kept mentioning Firmino warming up, but Jota just keeps scoring, doesn't he? He seems to score with every appearance. And, you know, I was really impressed with his goal today. His movement to get in front of Ben Mee. And we know that, you know, those centre-backs for Burnley, Tarkowski and Ben Mee, are so difficult to play against. They're 2 experienced Premier League defenders who are so good in the air, so difficult to beat in the air. But Jota's movement to know that ball from Simakas will come to that front post, to get in front of Ben Mee and to win that ball in the air and guide it past Nick Pope, I thought was outstanding from him. So yeah, really, really impressed with Diogo Jota once again today. And once again, you know, has he beaten Firmino to that starting spot? Maybe. Or is it just that we're going to need rotation throughout this season? Probably. And we know Firmino has been good when he came off the bench in both games, particularly against Norwich. So yeah, it's just really good to have options, and we keep saying that, isn't it? It's really good to have so many different options in the squad, so we can keep chopping and changing. And what we've seen today is we have so many players in the squad that we can bring in and that can impress. Harvey Elliott isn't going to be starting week in, week out at the moment anyway. But when we've seen today that when he's brought in, he can be phenomenal. It's the same with, you know, Costa Simakas. You know, he's proved that he can be a good understudy for Trent Alexander-Arnold. We've also got, you know, Jota, Firmino, Mane, Salah, so many attacking options to the point where Divock Origi wasn't even in the squad today. We didn't have Oxlade-Chamberlain available, but the bench still looked very, very strong. So we're pushing FSG for signings, we're pushing Liverpool for signings, but I think we saw today that there's so many positives with this current squad, and it's easy to see why Klopp and the players and the coaching staff are so happy and unified at the moment, because this is still a squad that can push for the title and can push on all four fronts. And yes, it's not as strong as Chelsea's squad and it's not as strong as City's squad, but it's hard to compete with oil money like that. So yeah, I am very impressed with today's performance. I am very impressed once again with everyone on that team sheet today, everyone that came off the bench. I thought it was a top quality performance. I thought it was fantastic that we got a clean sheet once again. I thought Harvey Elliott coming in was absolutely terrific. So yeah, so many good talking points. I thought this is another good talking point, Matip being so underrated. I think we talk about Virgil van Dijk and him turning defence into attack. What we saw from Matip today, and what we see from Matip so often, is he doesn't do it in a as good looking way as Virgil van Dijk, because obviously he looks so gangly when he's roaming forwards with the ball, but he's so good at, you know, winning the ball back, looking up and finding a player in between the lines as well. And yes, he looks gangly when he does it, but he's so good at it as well as Virgil van Dijk. And yeah, he's so underrated. I really, really agree. And potentially a final question of this stream says, do you think we can beat Chelsea in this form? And my answer, mate, is we can beat anyone when we play football like that. So thank you very much for joining me for today's stream. I hope you have all enjoyed this, and now I will give you to Craig for his player ratings after that. And you could give everyone a 10, really, couldn't you? Liverpool the boss, Liverpool the top of the league. And yes, that is all for today. Chelsea next, a really good performance, and hopefully we can keep this 100% record going into that international break after Chelsea. Thank you very much for joining me, you lot, and I shall see you very soon. Ta-ra.